What if the only way to bring peace to the world was to become its villain? What if you had to sacrifice your name, your legacy, your soul, just so others could finally be free? This is the story of Lelouch v Britannia. A tyrant by design, a liberator by deception. And the Zero Requiem is one of the greatest acts of self-sacrifice in anime history. Lelouch is a genius, a prince cast out, a brother, a revolutionary. He begins his journey for revenge, but what sets Lelouch apart is how the revenge slowly transforms into something more. At first he wants to destroy Britannia, the empire that crushed his mother and paralyzed his sister. But as he sees the cycle of war, hate and tyranny in the world, he realizes he can't just win, he has to change everything. A way that you can translate this to real life problems or your own personal private life is how you may have gone through a difficult childhood. One in which there's a lot of trauma built up, one in which it's been carried out through the generations. And you tell yourself, I'm going to be the one to put an end to this cycle. I want to get my revenge, I want to cut off my parents, I want to not talk to them, for example. But I will not do that, for I am better than this. And I want to change how things have happened thus far. I want to be able to grant my children grandparents. And I know I'll be able to control things more when I get to the stage where I have children and things like that. You decide to be the one that chooses to suck it up, be braver than everyone else thus far in your generational tree, and change things for the better. Overcome all the hatred built up into love. Lelouch does this in a different kind of context, but in a much broader kind of scale. The Mask of Zero is more than just a disguise, it's an idea. Zero becomes a symbol of rebellion, hope, and justice for the oppressed. Lelouch uses it to unite the broken and give them something to believe in. It becomes an icon for the people. But here's the catch. Behind that mask, Lelouch is calculating, manipulative. He's willing to use people, even sacrifice innocence, for what he sees as the greater good. This is where many start to question him. Is Lelouch a hero or a tyrant? You can't really argue that Lelouch did things perfectly, right? You can't really argue that he was the perfect hero or tyrant or anti-hero or whatever, Batman, right? And I think this is a prime example of it. While it is good to have intentions of achieving the greater good, I think how that path towards achieving it, how you traverse it, is very important. And this is my personal opinion coming into play. But if you valued or if you wanted to become a millionaire, but you did it by deceiving others, right, becoming a scam artist, or if you did it by making others' life worse, for example, I don't know, selling pornography and things like that, then the means that you achieved this goal of yours will have lost all of its nobleness, right, all of its illustriousness. You will no longer be somebody that you could admire, right, from the outside, but rather somebody that others will criticize. And it's not about, oh, you should care about what other people think. No, but rather you will think of yourself less as well if you follow a path towards your goal that you are unhappy with. Even after toppling his enemies, Lelouch realizes something tragic. Ending a war doesn't create peace. It just leaves a power vacuum. The world doesn't need another ruler. It needs a unifying enemy. Someone all nations can hate together. Someone to absorb all the world's hatred and die with it. And this is the root of Zero Requiem. It's funny because in the real world and in human psychology, this is very much explained, and you can see it throughout history. I mean, look at World War II, how everybody turned against Germany as they gained more and more power, and we feared it, right, as a common enemy. Or imagine a hypothetical scenario where aliens were coming to invade our planets, right, some whatever. I'm pretty sure we would stop the battle in Ukraine, in Palestine, and all this like little pettiness. I would focus on getting our resources together to fight off these invaders, this common enemy that everybody has. At the end of the day, the enemy of my enemy is my ally, type of vibe. Lelouch becomes emperor, not to rule, but to concentrate the world's hatred into a single target. himself. He plays the villain perfectly. He conquers nations. He silences rebellion. He becomes a monster in the eyes of the world. And then he dies, killed by a Zero, now worn by Suzaku, his closest friend and former enemy. With that act, peace is achieved. The world, freed from his hatred, starts anew. Lelouch dies hatred, but he dies with purpose. Now, contrary to the first part, this is where it actually gets more interesting. If you achieve the thing that you wanted to achieve, it doesn't matter what people thought of you, right? But what you thought of yourself. You know, I said about, oh, people will criticize you for it, but most importantly, you will criticize yourself. In this death, Lelouch will believe that he did the right thing, and you could argue that he did. Sure, his way of coming about it and killing innocent lives wasn't the best, right? But I think the best world is the ideal world, and the ideal world doesn't exist. A purpose such as the one that Lelouch had to achieve peace, and to achieve it through such a selfless method where you become the vessel of the world's hate and you die with it, is a very noble thing to do. Lelouch's sacrifice is unique because he doesn't die as a hero. He doesn't get a statue, no praise, no legacy. He chooses to become the villain of the story so the world can have its happy ending. This echoes philosophical themes from real-world text. Man is sometimes extraordinary, passionately in love with suffering. Do your duty, but do not concern yourself with the fruits of action. Or even from Christianity, you know, the whole taking the sins of others and bearing them as your own for becoming the redemption or whatever. You know, the whole like Jesus dies for our sins. Whether you believe in this type of stuff or not is one thing, but you know, it's like as a practice, it's like, oh damn, you know, I'm becoming this vessel, right? That's creating some peace, even if it's temporary and making an impact. It's not too shabby. But yeah, Lelouch's Zero Requiem isn't just a plan. It's a spiritual death. A complete erasure of self for the sake of others. Most of us want to be remembered. We want to win. We want to be seen as right. We want to leave a mark, a footprint. But Lelouch throws all of that away. Why? Because purpose matters more than credit. Peace mattered more than his name. His sister's smile mattered more than his pride. A better world mattered more than whether he was loved or hated. To be honest, this is what makes Lelouch's story one of the most epic, right? One of the most powerful in all of anime history. Because he shows what true leadership is about. It's not about power. It's about being willing to sacrifice yourself for the sake of others. To lead the revolution. To be the one that makes that change that you wish to see on the world. Even if no one ever thanks you for it. Lelouch v Britannia died a villain. But he lived like a king, with vision, courage, and an unshakable will. In the end, he didn't seek glory. He only wanted peace. Zero lives on, not as a man, but as a symbol. As a symbol that the greatest acts of love are often done in silence. I hope you could take something from this video. Maybe some inspiration or motivation to work hard for the things that you want to accomplish. And strive to be 1% better every day. Much love.